We are committed to reconciliation, partnership, and enhanced understanding. On behalf of the University of Toronto and our partners here at Electra, it's my pleasure. Okay. They are very light actually.
CommonSenseLoonie, that's my tune, bringing truth to the red and white moon.
Personally, I am a man.
Crazy news day. Crazy news day. Hi there all, it's Rex back at you with another CommonSenseLoonie. And today it seems like common sense is flying out the window in Canada. We've got the Air Canada strike looking like it's coming to an end, but not without completely screwing the Liberal Party. And we have the Lapu-Lapu tragedy with the suspect update, and it's not a good one if you're for law and order. Canadian soldiers suspended for lewd and offensive behavior, including a certain German salute, and Mark and Doug have a summit of their own. This is a full-blown bromance going on. Let's get down to it. In a previous episode, we covered the Air Canada strike. Well, there's another update. Air Canada has reached a deal with its flight attendants union, ending the strike that grounded flights and affected 500,000 passengers.
Good evening. A tentative deal was reached early this morning. The airline now trying to clear the turbulence caused by hundreds of canceled flights and the effects on thousands of passengers.
Air Canada saying that at best they'll get up to 53% of capacity today as they ramp up to 100%. But as you said, wheels are up, flights are moving, and some passengers are happy.
As you may recall, the main demand was compensation for all that unpaid groundwork they do outside of actual flight time, like during boarding. The strike caused massive chaos. Air Canada, which flies to 180 cities worldwide and serves 130,000 passengers daily, had to cancel flights left and right. Then things got even more heated. Over the weekend, Federal Labour Minister Patty Hadju stepped in, invoking a legal tool to stop the strike and force both sides into binding arbitration. This would effectively end the strike. Or would it? The union straight up defied them, keeping the strike going. CUPE argued the intervention was premature and unnecessary, and they were right. The whole thing wrapped up the next day. By Tuesday, a tentative agreement was struck through a mediator. Details aren't fully out, but CUPE says it's transformational for the industry, specifically ending that unpaid work for attendants. Now, let's talk politics. The Liberal government's hasty intervention looks like a massive mistake now. By jumping in so quickly to side with the airline and order workers back, they came off as anti-labor, putting big business over employee rights. Yet the strike resolved in just days through negotiation, proving talks could work without heavy-handed government force. This damaged the Liberals' image, especially with unions and working-class voters. Now they're seen as out of touch, meddling where they're not needed, which could hurt them in the polls or future elections. Flights should start resuming this evening, so if you're booked with Air Canada, check your status. Normal service might not be back for a week. Now, because of this Air Canada Liberal fiasco, a couple more stories have broken out. First one in Quebec.
4 McGill University faculty associations have filed a court challenge against Bill 89. They say it's unconstitutional, and a key part of their objection is that the bill uses vague language, which they say gives the government broad powers in determining which kinds of strikes will be harmful to the public. Bill 89 was adopted in May and will come into effect in November. It will allow the Quebec government more leeway in determining what an essential service is. In turn, this will allow the Quebec government to decide which strikes can go ahead and which won't.
They're on the brink of a major shift in labor relations. There's a new provincial law set to take place on November 30th. It gives the Quebec Labour Minister sweeping powers to step in and force binding arbitration during strikes or lockouts, if they're seen as causing harm to the public. Sound familiar? Harm to the public. What does that mean? Well, that can include threats to social, economic, or even environmental security. That's a pretty broad set of terms that covers a lot of ground. Union leaders are not having it because this mirrors what happened at the federal level with Air Canada. In Quebec's case, employers could now drag out negotiations on purpose, provoking a strike, and then just wait for the government to swoop in with arbitration that would favor management over workers. It's like handing bosses a get-out-of-jail-free card for tough bargaining, weakening unions' leverage at the table. So, who stands out to lose here? It targets unionized employees in sectors across Quebec like airlines or trucking, manufacturing plants, logistics and supply chains, energy utilities, or any industry where a labor stoppage could be argued to disrupt the economy or public life. Unions are not taking this lying down. The Fédération des Travailleurs et Travailleuses du Québec, pardon my French, and the Centre des Syndicats du Québec, again, pardon my French, they're leading the charge, warning that this could erode collective bargaining rights province-wide. They're gearing up for a legal battle, planning to challenge the law in court to strike it down or at least limit its scope before it kicks in. They argue it's a slippery slope that lets politics interfere with fair negotiations, and they're rallying members to push back hard. And now, our next story, as predicted, here come the lawsuits against Air Canada. Air Canada is staring down 2 class action lawsuits that could cost the airline tens of millions in damages.
10,000 Air Canada flight attendants will return back to work after reaching a tentative agreement with the airline early Tuesday. And here in Montreal, 2 class action lawsuits were filed on behalf of travelers impacted by the strike.
One passenger heading back to vet school in Grenada had her flight axed and wasn't rebooked within the required 48 hours. Air Canada was trying to get away with just handing out refunds, but actually, by law, they have to rebook you within 48 hours, even if it's on a competitor's airline. Lawyers say that the airline was intentionally unclear, unavailable, and did not follow through.
This violates Canada's passenger protection rules, which say that an airline has up to 2 days to rebook travelers, either on its own planes or with a competitor.
The purpose of this class action is to effectively, obtain a refund for everybody who's out of pocket, who had no choice but to book their own travel back home. In other words, if you've done absolutely nothing, you will be automatically included in this class action.
The lawsuit also argues that Air Canada misled its customers by convincing them to accept refunds and saying that no flights were available even though seats on other airlines were.
Now, another family saw their Cancun holiday fall apart, racking up extra costs during layovers. Now, this suit also ropes in the union, CUPE, claiming they illegally kept the strike going, even after a back-to-work order, which dragged out the mess and piled on more costs for the travelers. If these lawsuits get the green light, anyone hit by cancellations or delay could join in and claim compensation for their headaches. So, anyone want to bet that we, the taxpayers, are going to be hit up for these costs? Okay, moving right along. I just want to quickly show you folks an X-post that really made me giggle. I'm sure everyone knows about the summit at the White House with Trump, Zelensky, and members of the EU. A lot of people were pointing out that Canada, and specifically Carney, wasn't there and not even mentioned during the event, despite having committed more of our money to the Ukraine war. Yeah, we're at a total of $4.5 billion now. Great. Anyways, I found this post on X. It's hilarious. So this one's from JackDan110, and he says, they've replaced Mark Carney with a houseplant. It's hysterical. I gotta follow this guy. So, to save some face from not being invited to the Ukraine summit at the White House, what did Carney do? He held a little summit of his own. Just him and our favorite conservative in name only, Doug Ford.
So Monday I'm going up to have a one-on-one meeting with the Prime Minister, and I've told him how I feel. We got to create the environment, and just a few things we can do can really change things. Number one, we're taxed to death. Simple as that. In Economics 101, put money into people's pockets. They're going to go out and spend it. As simple as going out for dinner, buying a pair of sneakers, buying jeans. That stimulates the economy.
Well, it sounds like they're going to finally take some action. It's been months and nothing's changed except we've got more tariffs now. But wait, after the meeting...
So did you guys agree to any concrete action on that front today?
We had a great discussion. Nothing happens immediately in that room, but we're on the same page.
So basically nothing got done. What the heck were they even talking about? That's what I thought. Okay, we're going to get a little bit more serious here. You all remember the horrific tragedy on April 26th when a man drove an SUV through Vancouver's Lapu-Lapu Day Festival, killing 11 people and injuring dozens during a celebration of Filipino culture?
A black Audi SUV came ripping down East 43rd Avenue heading east, and that's where a lot of people and food vendors were set up. One witness said he saw people flying off the vehicle as it went barreling down the street. He said people were screaming, bodies were scattered on the road, and he saw at least 2 children.
The suspect, 30-year-old Kai G. Adam Lowe, faces 11 second-degree murder charges. Now, months later, the case is back in the spotlight as media outlets fight to lift a publication ban on evidence presented at Lowe's fitness hearing. This determines if he's mentally fit to stand trial. Vancouver's mayor called this the deadliest vehicle attack in Canadian history. Lawyer Daniel Coles, representing the media, says this media ban should be minimally invasive, and that much of the information, like Lowe's history of mental health interactions with police, is already public. The court's decision on the ban is pending, with Lowe due back in court this Friday. Now, let's tackle the first big question. Does Canada's court system have issues that might let Lowe off lightly due to his mental condition? If Lowe is found unfit for trial, he won't face trial until he's deemed capable, which could delay proceedings indefinitely or lead him to being held in a psychiatric facility instead of prison. If mental health issues are proven to have driven the attack, the court could consider a not criminally responsible finding, meaning Lowe would be detained in a mental health facility rather than receiving a traditional sentence. If Lowe's mental state dominates the case, some might feel the penalty doesn't match the crime's devastation. Now, the second question hits harder. If police knew about Lowe's mental health issues, how did he pull off this horrific act? Reports confirmed Lowe had significant interactions with police over mental health concerns, including contact with authorities the day before the attack. Canada's Mental Health Act allows for involuntary detention only if someone poses an immediate danger to themselves or other, a high bar that's tough to meet without clear evidence of intent. Social media posts have echoed public frustration, noting Lowe's history of mental health issues and questioning why he wasn't monitored more closely. But here's the reality. Police can't lock someone up indefinitely based on past mental health calls, and privacy laws limit how much they can share or act without a criminal act. So we can't really blame the police, but we sure can blame the law. Was there failure to connect the dots? Or are the legal thresholds for intervention just too high? These are questions the public deserves answers to, especially as the community still grieves. The thing is, if they're going to do a publication ban, we may never know the answers to this. As the fitness hearings continue, the balance between transparency, justice, and fairness remains front and center. The court's decision on the publication ban could shed light on what went wrong and whether the system failed to act on Lowe's history. For now, we're just left asking, how do we prevent tragedies like this, and is the system equipped to deliver justice that feels just? All right, next up, picture this. You're asleep in your own home when suddenly at 3:20 in the morning, you wake up to a stranger breaking in. The intruder, a 41-year-old guy already wanted by the police for other crimes, is inside your apartment, possibly armed and ready to do who knows what. You jump into action to protect yourself and your family. A scuffle breaks out, and the bad guy ends up seriously hurt. But here's the part that'll make your blood boil. Instead of being hailed as a hero for defending your home, you're the one slapped with charges. Aggravated assault and assault with a weapon. You, the victim, hauled off by the police, while the intruder, who broke in, violated your space, and threatened your safety, gets charged too, but for lesser stuff like break and enter and possession of a weapon for a dangerous purpose. But when does reasonable cross the line? In this case, the homeowner, named Jeremy McDonald, allegedly went too far in the eyes of the law, even though he was the one woken up to terror. Outlets like CBC, Toronto Sun, and Kawartha 411 are all covering it, with folks online fuming that Canada's justice system seems to side with crooks over hardworking families. People are sharing petitions and calling it absolute BS. How can defending your castle land you in handcuffs? It's ridiculous. It's infuriating, and it makes you wonder, if this happened to you, would the law have your back, or would it turn you into the villain? All right, check this out. 5 Canadian soldiers got suspended after a wild video from 2023 popped up.
What we've been told by D&D sources is that the video is less than 30 seconds and it looks like it was shot at a house party. A soldier holding the flag of the Royal 22nd Regiment is apparently consuming a drug of some kind. Right at the end, a couple of soldiers give the Nazi salute.
It's like 30 seconds long, shows a basement party in Quebec, and these dudes are throwing up a certain type of German salute. Yeah, that bad. Apparently it's a house party, and there's one guy doing some weird military drill in front of a Royal 22E Regiment flag, plus someone's snorting something. A random person sent the video to the news, and now the military police are digging into it. The Army boss, Lieutenant General Michael Wright, stated this is straight up unacceptable. He's worried it's going to mess with the recruitment and make people lose trust in the military. They're investigating hard, and these guys might even get kicked out. Oh yeah, and get this. It's not the first mess like this. Remember last month? 2 other soldiers got arrested for apparently plotting some malicious stuff in Quebec. What is going on with our military? Well, that just about does it for today, and I hope you all enjoyed it. And if you did, don't forget to like and subscribe. Remember, every time someone clicks the subscribe button, an angel gets its wings.
That's right. That's right. Attaboy, Clarence.
So do it for the angels. If there's any stories you'd like me to touch on, drop a comment below. I love the comments. They're nummy. Until next time, all you wonderful people, keep an eye on those liberals, and remember, stay strong, stay skeptical, and above all else, stay loony.
I'm here to cut through the haze, no disguise. Gonna open your eyes to politicians' lies. Canada's great, but led by wackos, it's true. Time for no nonsense, me and you. I'm the CommonSenseLoonie, hear my call. Ditch bingo night games, we'll fix it all. CommonSenseLoonie, that's my tune. Bringing truth to the red and white moon.
Jerker.